On this day in history, one of the greatest players ever to grace the beautiful game found the back of the net for the first time in a Real Madrid shirt. The scripter sides were up against a tough opponent, Athletic Bilbao, and with the game poised at 0-0 just before halftime, Cristiano Ronaldo sent the Santiago Bernabeu wild as he broke the deadlock. This would be the first of an incredible 450 goals that he would score over his 2 spells with Los Blancos. But do you remember how it all started? Well, we certainly do. And we're here to bring you the story of Ronaldo's first Real Madrid goal. It had been quite the summer for Manchester United and their fans. Not only had they retained the Premier League title, but they'd done so by achieving the then record points total of 86. Wayne Rooney had also come close to joining their fierce rivals Liverpool. But perhaps the biggest shock of all was that Cristiano Ronaldo would be leaving Old Trafford after just 6 seasons. The Red Devils had beaten Chelsea to his signature back in 2003 when he was just 18 years old. And despite an impressive spell that included 3 Premier League titles, an FA Cup and 2 Champions League trophies, it was clear that the Portuguese winger craved a new challenge. On July 2009, the 2 clubs finally agreed on a world record transfer fee of £80 million, which could rise to £94 million. With 8, it was a British record transfer that shattered the previous £66 million move of Kaká from AC Milan to United a year earlier. For Ronaldo, it was a dream move to one of the biggest clubs in the world with arguably the best squad. Manager Manuel Pellegrini was already planning for life after the legendary Raul Gonzalez, who had left the club in the summer, and the No. 7 shirt was seen as a direct replacement. But while the expectations were high, few expected the impact that Ronaldo would have in his very first La Liga match. The first game of the season saw them travel to reigning Europa League champions, Shakhtar. A win was a must, and although the Portuguese superstar made an instant impression, it wasn't all plain sailing. Karim Benzema put them ahead after just 11 minutes, but Shakhtar equalized soon after through Willian. And just when it seemed as though Madrid were going to drop points, Ronaldo popped up in the 85th minute. He cut inside onto his right foot and unleashed a low drive that left goalkeeper Andrei Pyatov with no chance. It was an emphatic start, but he still had to wait for his first home game. That came in match day 2 with the visit of Spanish side Valencia. Having netted away from home, Ronaldo was now desperate to open his account at the Santiago Bernabeu, and the occasion didn't get any bigger than this. Valencia were a top 4 side last season and would prove to be stubborn opponents. With the scores level at 0-0 in the second half, Ronaldo almost broke the deadlock, but his effort was cleared off the line. Then, just before the hour mark, Arjen Robben gave Valencia the lead against the run of play. Now the home crowd were getting restless. They had seen their team dominate possession without creating many clear-cut chances. And with time ticking, it looked like they may have to settle for a point. But out of nowhere, Ronaldo changed everything. In the 69th minute, a long, hopeful ball was pumped forward towards him by Gabriel Heinz. Valencia's defense was caught ball watching, and Ronaldo cleverly flicked the ball over the head of the onrushing goalkeeper, leaving himself with just one defender to beat. From here, he went past him like he wasn't there and slotted into an empty net. The place erupted. This was more than just his first goal for the club. It was his first ever touch. The £80 million man had scored on his debut. In truth, the goal was more about relief than anything else. For the best part of the previous hour, Ronaldo had struggled to make an impact, and until he found the net, questions were already being asked whether he was worth the astronomical fee. But that all changed in an instant. And even though they only won 2-1 thanks to a late Karim Benzema penalty, the focus was solely on Ronaldo and his iconic celebration. In the weeks that followed, the media couldn't get enough of the world record signing. Everywhere he went, cameras followed him. Every training session, every press conference, and every match was documented in fine detail. It wasn't just the media that had taken notice either. Even bitter rivals Barcelona and their fans were stunned by what they had witnessed. After all, it's not often that you see a player take to life in a new country, in a new league so seamlessly. But that's exactly what Ronaldo had done. Yet he remained grounded and focused on the task at hand. I am happy because it was my first game and it was important to score, he told reporters afterwards. But most importantly, we won. There were even rumors that he'd be challenging for the Ballon d'Or after such an impressive stunt. And while that didn't materialize, it set the tone for what was to come. Over the next 9 seasons, Ronaldo would go on to become the club's all-time leading scorer and help them win 2 La Liga titles, 2 Copa del Reys, 4 Champions Leagues, and a FIFA Club World Cup. It's safe to say that the doubters were silenced, but if you think this is where the story ends, then you'd be sorely mistaken, because as we know, he'd go on to break even more records at Juventus and then return to Old Trafford for a second spell. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. What's for sure is that the Bernabeu faithful knew they had signed one of the greats that day. Having fallen behind to a sucker punch, they needed someone to turn the tide, and that's exactly what he did. But while it was an impressive goal, it was his all-round play that truly convinced the fan. He was guilty of missing a couple of chances, but he chased every lost cause, harried the opposition, and tracked back to help out defensively. Even when things weren't going well, he kept going, and it was this never-say-die attitude that endeared him to the crowd. In truth, it took him a little while to fully adapt to life in Spain, but once he did, the goals started to flow and Los Blancos became a force to be reckoned with. Looking back, it's clear that Ronaldo's arrival marked the end of an era and the start of another. Raul had led them to 3 Champions League titles, but he was undoubtedly in the twilight of his career. Ronaldo's arrival not only solved their goal-scoring issues, but he instilled a belief within the dressing room that they could compete for every trophy available. Under the guidance of Jose Mourinho, they won the first of their 3 consecutive Champions League trophies in 2014. And while the Portuguese superstar would eventually leave for pastures new, his legacy has lived on. Karim Benzema, Vinicius Jr., and Rodrigo Goes have continued the No. 7's fine goal-scoring tradition, and the club are still competing for the biggest prizes had Ronaldo not joined. Who knows what direction the club may have taken, but what we do know is that he kick-started one of the most prolific periods in the club's history. Looking back, it's hard to believe that anyone could have replaced Raul. But Ronaldo defied the odds and not only silenced his critics, but went on to become a legend in the process. Before we wrap up, let us know your favorite Ronaldo memory down below. And while you're at it, stay up to date with all the latest football news. Thanks for watching.